So we're gonna keep going. So you wanna build bigger boobies as a guy. Who doesn't want that armor-plated chest? Yes, the pecs. Who doesn't want bigger, juicier pecs as a man? Of course you do, but maybe you also don't like bench pressing. You know the bench press is a good exercise for building your chest, but for whatever reason you don't like it. Can you build your chest without the bench press? The answer is yes, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to do it. I am going to give you the 3 principles of effective chest training that if you adhere to these principles, then you can have success with a variety of exercises. Then I'm going to give you my 4 favorite exercises for building a bigger, stronger chest with no bench pressing required, barbell or dumbbell. And then finally, I'm going to give you a simple, minimalist 2-day per week training program so you can pump those pecs right up. My name is Pat Flynn. Let's get started. So the bench press is a great exercise. I'm not trying to discourage you from bench pressing. If you like bench pressing, if you're strong at it, keep bench pressing. But I have a lot of people who write to me, who send me facsimiles, that's not true, but that would be fun, asking, Pat, how can I build my chest without the bench press? I don't like the bench press, it bothers my shoulder, or I train at home and I just don't have the setup. Is this possible? And my answer is yes, it's possible, but we have to start with principles before exercises. I see a lot of videos where people are just talking about all these different chest exercises, and many of them are good exercises. I'm going to share a few here with you in a minute, but the problem is they don't have the principles established first. And if you don't have the principles of effective chest training in place, then it doesn't matter what exercise you use. You'll suck even with the bench press. Even with the best exercises, if you don't have the principles in place, your muscles will not grow in size and they will not grow in strength. So let's cover those principles right now, and then we will talk about exercise selection and programming. So there are really 3 fundamental principles of effective chest training. And really these principles will apply to other muscle groups as well, but definitely for building a bigger chest, here are the 3 things that you absolutely must keep in mind. 1, you need heavy pressing. There is no getting around it. If you want to build your chest, you need heavy pressing movements. What does heavy mean and what does pressing mean? Let's go in the reverse order. So heavy means that you're working with a lot of weight, that you are pushing close to failure. So if we really want to stimulate muscle growth, we should be somewhere within the 6 to 12 rep range, and we should be using a weight where we have at most 2 to 3 reps in reserve. What that means is if we're doing 10 reps, we should be using a weight where we could do no more than 12 to 13 reps. You have to be pushing very close to failure. And you have to be doing pressing movements. Angles can vary, that's fine, whether it's a perfectly horizontal press, somewhat of an incline, somewhat of a decline, but there's no getting around it. If you want to build your chest, you have to be pressing, and you have to be pressing heavy. That's principle number 1. Principle number 2 is you need sufficient volume. The general rule for muscle growth is somewhere between 10 to 20 sets per muscle group per week. You need to be in that range. If you're just starting out, come in at the low range. Don't start with 20 sets per muscle group per week. That's a lot. Give yourself room to grow. But you need to have sufficient volume, and I'm going to show you how you can accomplish that volume with 2 training sessions per week. But you do need to do a lot of work, especially if you want your muscles to grow. There's no getting around it. Next to intensity, you need volume. And then principle number 3 is technique and tempo and stretch. They kind of all go together. You'll see why, because they reinforce each other. So proper technique when pressing, especially for your pecs, is you want to make sure that you're controlling the eccentric, the downward portion of the movement. I like a 2 to 3 second descent. So if you are benching, which we're not doing in this video, you would count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, pause at the bottom for 1 second, feel that big stretch, and then explode up. So the tempo, especially the tempo for the downward or eccentric portion, is really important. This will help you to maintain solid technique, and to have that big loaded stretch at the bottom is really helpful for encouraging your chest to grow. So the 3 principles again are high intensity with pressing, sufficient volume, making sure that you're doing enough work throughout the week, and technique, tempo, big stretch at the bottom, no matter what sort of exercise you pick. Okay, so now what exercises should you pick? Let's get into that. I'm going to give you 4. These are 4, I think, big hitting exercises that will really encourage a well-developed muscular chest, some of that delicious man cleavage, that man meat that everybody on YouTube wants these days. and I guess elsewhere. So how do you get the man meat? Here's how you get the man meat without the bench pressing. All right, first exercise I'm going to recommend to you is the dip. The dip is a phenomenal chest exercise. It is a big press, you get a big stretch, and you can load it like crazy. I love the dip. I'm really good at dips, which is great because I suck at bench pressing. One of the reasons I don't like to do the bench press, I just suck at it. I've sucked at it since middle school, and you don't like to do things that you suck at, right? And who wants to do it? Who wants to go in a gym and do, I'm just gonna go suck today? I don't wanna do that. I wanna do the things I'm good at. I wanna impress people. I'm good at dips. I like dips. They feel good on my shoulders. I get a huge stretch. So first exercise is definitely the dip. And if you're strong, you can do weighted dips, tie the weight belt or kettlebell around your waist. All right, so we're gonna work with dips. That's number one. Number two is the double kettlebell military press. Now, most people will be like, Pat, this is mostly a shoulder exercise, and that's true, but it does have upper pec involvement. And when it comes to having that sort of broad, fully developed look, your shoulders really matter, right? So they accentuate your chest. It's gonna help you have that nice sort of V look to you. So it is going to be hitting the upper chest, and it's going to give you that fuller total upper body development, and it is a big heavy press. So we're going to include the double military press in there. Even if it isn't primarily a chest exercise, it is really useful for that overall developed look that most people want when they're thinking about pecs and shoulders and all that. So dips, military press. Number two is going to be the push-up. That's three. Number three, that's three. I should count. Number three is the push-up, but how you do the push-up is going to vary on your ability level. So if you can only do about 30 push-ups, only 30 is a good number, right? Then we're going to work with max rep tempo push-ups. The push-up is a phenomenal exercise. It's your classic gym class exercise, but if you really want to develop your pecs, I'm going to have you tweak it in just a few ways. One, you're going to perform a deficit. So just put your hands, if you have two. If you have one hand, that's unfortunate. It's not going to work as well. But if you have two hands, which most people do, put them on some plates so that way you get the bigger stretch at the bottom. So you can work that tempo, 1, 2, 3. See, we can count to 3. We can do it. You're going to hold the bottom for 1 second, feel that big stretch, explode up. And what we will do once we get to the programming here in a minute is you'll do max reps, right? You will go to failure. Great. Max rep, 4 tempo push-ups. Awesome, especially if you're doing it after the heavier pressing, which we will help position for you here in a minute. If you can do more than 30 push-ups, yeah, it's still effective, but I mean, you have to burn through a lot of reps till you get to those effective reps. You're just gonna weight them, so you can weight the push-ups either with a weighted vest, you can put a plate on your back, a small pig, or bands. So you're just gonna increase the intensity of the push-ups with some sort of additional resistance, however you wanna do that. Okay, and the last movement that I'm going to throw into the mix here is a bench-like movement, except for it's not a bench, it's a floor press. So you've probably seen the floor press before. You're just lying on the floor and you're pressing weight up, whether it's kettlebells or dumbbells, in a bench press-like fashion. So it's a horizontal press, definitely effective for the pecs, but I'm gonna have you tweak this in one way as well. I'm going to have you perform a hip bridge floor press. So this is where you're going to get in the floor press position. You're going to squeeze those glutes. You're going to give your little butt a squeeze. Your hips are going to go up into the air, and then you're going to perform what would seem like a decline bench press from there. It's going to free your shoulders up a little bit. It's going to help increase range of motion and help you get that bigger stretch at the bottom, which we talked about, that is very important. So again, the 4 exercises that we're going to work with: dip, military press, floor press, and push-up. So now let's talk about how to put all these together into a very simple program that will only require that you train 2 days per week. Okay, so ready? Write this down, my friends. I'll also post it in the comments so you can take it, use it, and get awesome results. Day 1, here we go. We're going to pair the dip with max rep push-ups. So that's dip and max rep push-ups. You're going to do 5 sets of the dip for 10 reps, using an intensity that you can perform no more than 12 reps with. Okay, so 5 sets on the dip for 10 reps. After that, you will do 5 sets of max rep push-ups. That's it. You're done. That's day 1. If you're training something else, you can do that. That's fine. This is really just for chest development, so whether you integrate this into a larger program is really your prerogative. Number 2, day number 2, you're going to take the military press, the double military press. You're also going to perform 5 sets of 10 reps with an intensity that you could perform no more than 12 reps with. And then after that, you will do 5 sets of 10 reps on the floor press. Also, once again, with an intensity that you can perform no more than 12 reps with. Here's what I want you to do. Take that plan, Follow it for at least 6 weeks and watch as your pecs just balloon and balloon and balloon. Finally, I know people will have questions. Hey Pat, can I do this exercise instead of that one? The first thing I would say in response is go back to the principles. Are the principles in place? Are you doing a heavy press? If it's a heavy press, then yes, it can probably be swapped in. And here's the truth. If you like bench pressing, you could take this plan and put in bench pressing or bench pressing variations. This would work great with the barbell bench press or dumbbell flat or dumbbell incline. So if you want to bench press, this plan will work really well for that as well. If there are other exercises you are curious about to their degree of effectiveness, feel free to comment. I will try to field as many questions as I possibly can, but also want to know from you, what have you done before to build your chest, especially if you're a regular kettlebell user. A lot of times I'm asked, how do you build your chest with kettlebells? I'd be curious to hear what you have done to develop and grow your pecs just with kettlebell exercises. Share that below. Let me know what questions you have about the program itself. Leave a comment below if you like what you see here. Hit the like button, sidekick it, headbutt it, I don't care. Subscribe, ring the bell. I want you to be a part of the community that we have here because I can tell you're a cool person and you're interesting. My name is Pat Flynn. See you next time. Strong on.